Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Timo Parker and I'm here to help you to improve your singing voice. In today's video I want to talk about the most resonant tongue positions to make vowels sound. So I already made a video in the past where I explain why it is beneficial to have your tongue in a higher position when you are singing. And today we're gonna elaborate a little more in which positions your tongue should be when you are singing certain vowels. So let's dive right into it. So if you've seen the previous video about singing with a high tongue, you know that when your tongue is in a very preferable position, let's say in a higher position, you can create more overtones with the vowels that you are singing. And today we want to take a look at, there are actually 4 main positions for your tongue, and then there are 4 extra vowels that you can form with this tongue position. So 4 positions, but you get 8 different vowels, 8 different sounds. And these vowels are what I call like pure vowels. Sometimes you have vowels that are in between 2 vowels, so they are a bit more of a mix of 2 vowels, so to say, but the pure ones, the important ones, are actually these 8, so we're going to cover them in this video. So these vowels are universal, so you will find them in different languages. Some of them are not present in some languages. For example, we're going to talk about also the German umlaut and Ö. And for example, the Ö sound is not really present in the English language. And for singing, for example, the German umlaut is very close to the schwa sound. It's pretty much the same thing, it's just a millimeter of adjustment maybe for the tongue. So let's start with the first one, with A. So for A, we want to have the tongue in a mid position in your mouth. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start on the vowel A. And the only thing that I will change is that I raise my tongue slowly more upwards, and then let's see what happens to the vowel. So, Alright, just by moving my tongue, I got different vowel sounds. And you could hear there were 4 sounds. We have the A sound, we have the German umlaut so A-E. We have a closed E sound, which I think is not really present in the English language. If you know a word that has a closed E sound in the English language, leave it in the comment section below. But you find this E sound a lot, for example, in the Italian language, Spanish, and also in German. So some examples for a closed E sound would be, for example, in the Spanish language, the word elefante, so elephant, or the German word for soul, which is Seele. And the 4th one is the E, the sharp E sound. And all I did to get different vowel sounds was literally just moving my tongue up, and because of that I got different vowel sounds. And because we are using the tongue in a mid position, starting in a mid position, and we go higher and higher, we make sure that we reflect the sound on our hard palate, and this way we get the most overtones. And also because of some other reasons that I explained in the other video that I linked here before. So now let's take a look at the 4 other vowels. So we had these 4. So now let's see what happens if I do the very same thing again. So I start with a mid position tongue for A. I move my tongue up, but I incorporate a different movement to it. So let's see what happens. Alright, just by incorporating a movement from my lips, I get the 4 other vowels. So A becomes O, Ä becomes Ö, the closed E sound, E, becomes U, and E becomes Ü, so another umlaut here that we find, for example, in the German language. And these were the very same tongue positions, but we achieve different vowels because we use our lips as well to shape them. So the question might be, when should you use these tongue positions when you're singing? Ideally, you should try to get the most out of your vowels when you're singing. So find a position with your tongue where you get the most overtones when you are singing. You can check that, for example, by singing into a DAW and pull up a EQ and see where you get the most overtones. There are some vowels that have the tendency to be sharper, so for example the vowel E tends to be sharper than the vowel A. And your work as a singer is to try to match all the vowels, that they have pretty much the same degree of sharpness. And this is especially important when you are singing classical music, so if you are not relying on amplification, for example, you have to be heard and you have to use your instrument to its full potential. And that means that you want to create the most overtones possible so you are audible. On the other hand though, if you, for example, more into pop music, rock music, jazz, so music genres where you use amplification, where you use a microphone, it is still helpful to have a lot of overtones in your vowels, but it is not as necessary. So you don't necessarily have to take it to the very extreme like you have to do it with classical music. Because the popular music is more a speech like singing, so that means you don't necessarily have to have the tongue all the time in this perfect and very high position, as long as you're not harming yourself. I explained in the other video that you can harm yourself if you're singing with a low tongue. If this is the case, you have to focus on improving your technique there, so you're not hurting yourself, you're not harming yourself. But even if you don't get the best out of the vowels, it doesn't really matter that much, because you still have a bit of support from the amplification, and you also have the possibility to work a little with the EQ that you can use. So even though you can get away with not using the best tongue position to get all these overtones when you're singing popular music, but I think it is very important that when you're doing vocal exercises, that you try to use every vocal exercise that you do to its fullest potential. And use your instrument to the fullest potential, because this way it will grow quicker. And that's why I think it is a good idea that when you are doing vocal exercises, either some that I provide you on the channel or other exercises, that you take the time to focus on things like that. So for example, if you're singing an exercise, really make sure that you find these vowel positions in the exercise, because even though you might not use the very same tongue position when you're singing a song, it still encourages you to put your tongue into a higher position, and you'd consistently try to get the most resonance, the most overtones out of your instrument, and I think that's just beneficial for your growth. So whenever you're practicing and you're doing vocal exercises, make sure that you try to get the most out of it. So how do you practice this? The best way to get started is just to get familiar with the tongue positions for each vowel. So basically we want to try to get as much tongue mass out of the back of our throat as possible. And that means that we have to center our tongue and make sure that we have a shape like this. So first try to find a position with your tongue. It can almost be out of your mouth like I just showed, and then you try to bring the tongue into a more ball-like shape. Just make sure that you don't have any tension. It should still be quite relaxed. It's going to be very weird in the beginning to find these shapes, and a good reference as well is to have contact with your molar teeth in the back, so then you know you have a good starting position. And by the time you reach the E, the tongue is going to be so high up that you're just going to see literally the back of your tongue in your mouth. So these are some good reference points, and literally just go from this mid position all the way up, and in between you can find the 4 vowels that you create with your tongue, so A, E, and E. So these 4 you want to find. And once you got them, you can incorporate your lips. That's going to be the easier step. The hardest step in the beginning is most likely going to be to find these positions with your tongue. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could take something away from it. If this is the case, make sure to like this video and also subscribe to my channel, because I saw that a lot of you guys who are watching my videos are not subscribed to this channel. So please make sure to hit the subscribe button right now. And also, if you're interested in working with me, make sure to check out the link below. There's a link to my website where you can book one-on-one classes with me, and in these classes we can focus on your individual goals and optimize your vocal practice to get the most out of your voice. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.